And we're back with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don and Kevin. And I'm Don and you're Kevin.
Hey, Don, how are you? Welcome back.
Last I looked, you were Kevin, but I haven't seen you for a while, so I got to get a name tag on you, man.
I know, right?
Yeah, you doing good?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good because we're back with another podcast.
Yeah, and we got some good guests coming up.
We got some good guests coming up, including one right here in front of us today. Today we're joined by Laurel Hackett from Liberty Wildlife.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me here today.
Are you kidding? We've been wanting to get you for a long time. So Liberty Wildlife is dedicated to protecting native wildlife and inspiring compassion and stewardship in our community. Liberty Wildlife reminds us that caring for the natural world is not optional. It's a shared responsibility. This is a conversation today about connection, about conservation, and about showing up for what's precious. Laura, such a thrill to have you here today. Tell us a little bit about your role at Liberty Wildlife and how you came to be a part of the organization.
Yeah, I started out as a volunteer at Liberty Wildlife many moons ago. I was working at the Arizona Humane Society, and then I was actually working at the Phoenix Zoo, and all of those had, animal aspects.
At the same time?
Not exactly. I was volunteering at one and then working at the other. And then my jobs have always been volunteer first and get the job. And then I would move into volunteer in another place and I'd get a job.
Employee?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was volunteering at Liberty Wildlife. We were opening up a new facility. We had been in the valley since 1981, but it was a small location. And so we were building something new, and they wanted to bring me on board to be the education manager and really help create on-site programming so that people could finally come and see what we had been doing for almost 40 years in the backyard of the house in Scottsdale that we started at.
So it started in Scottsdale in 1981.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
1981, Dr. Kathy Orr was just a local veterinarian taking care of dogs and cats, and people started to bring wildlife to her, and she realized that there was a need for something like Liberty Wildlife. And so she was living by Scottsdale and Shea, had a horse property where she actually was raising llamas, and so she had a good amount of room. And that first year, she took in about 80 animals to rehabilitate and release back out into the wild. And we have just grown and grown and grown in the 40 plus years.
I always think of, when I think of Liberty, I think of birds.
Yes.
But that's not true. When I was thinking about you were talking earlier before we started, and I realized you guys really do all kinds of animals, don't you?
We do. We're known for birds, and I'd say like 80% of what we do is birds, but we take in all native wildlife. So we do have mammals and we do have reptiles. And then we work really closely with Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary and Southwest Wildlife for some of the mammals and reptile cases that we can't take. But for the most part, we're mostly birds, but we'll take them all in if they need help.
I took birds up to the Scottsdale site a couple times when they were still.
Have you so much?
Yeah,
I did a couple
right?
times.
I
Really
hear that
cool.
story a lot. Yeah. We had a
Yeah.
tiny little window that you just kind of put your box through the window,
Right.
and
Oh,
we took
really?
it. Yeah, and now
remember
we
that.
have a whole intake facility and everything.
What kind of birds did you take up there, Don?
I think we took a little, I think we actually took a hummingbird up once because it had smashed into the window and was kind of laying. It was alive, but it was having some
Pretty
troubles.
beat up, huh?
Yeah. And I think we actually took a hawk up there once
yeah.
that had hit the window. We actually had an owl hit the window once too, but before it was going to need some help, but it flew off on its own, but it hit our Arcadia door window.
Stunned.
It was, we were sitting there looking at it and it came right into the door. It's like, whoa. So that one I thought might need to come to Liberty Wildlife, but that one, that owl flew off on its own. So we had a little hawk though, came in.
Oh yeah,
up.
that's a pretty common incident, flying into windows and needing that little bit of time to kind of shake it off and give it that warm, dark, and quiet that we like to do. Yeah.
Before we get into more Liberty Wildlife, tell me about you. Where are you from? What's your hometown?
I'm
Where'd you
actually
grow up?
from Connecticut, southern Connecticut, right outside New York City.
Okay.
And I came to Arizona in the hopes of getting my master's degree in environmental resources at ASU. And while I was in school, I was volunteering at the Humane Society. And one thing always led to another with everything. I ended up getting jobs at the Humane Society and then the zoo and then Liberty Wildlife. And always just something, having to do hands-on with animals. I wanted to be a marine biologist, so I ended up in a landlocked state somehow.
Yeah.
But I just love Arizona, and I didn't want to leave it once I was here.
That's contagious. Once you get here, you want to stay here, don't you?
Yeah.
So many of us have been brought here exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Come here and all of a sudden you look back, it's 50 years later. What the heck happened?
Yeah.
For sure. Marine biologist. That's it.
Yeah. I grew up on the coast, so,
it
I always
makes
wanted to be
sense.
on a boat. So
That definitely makes sense. So tell us a little bit about Liberty Wildlife. So you said it was founded here in 1981, but is it a national organization? And then when did it's left Scottsdale now and moved to Phoenix, right?
Right, yeah. We opened in 1981, and we are just a local, and I always say it's small nonprofit, but we're actually quite large now. It started off very, very tiny, and we stayed in that small location from 1981 to 2016. And we just knew that we had expanded so much. We were bringing in so many animals to our hospital, but then we also wanted to really expand our education reach. And so we needed a larger facility. And so in 2016, we moved just south of Sky Harbor Airport. So we weren't sure if people were going to come after 40 years of being in Scottsdale. Were they going to be able to make the drive and find us? And we were surprised that, that I think in 2016, we had taken in about 6,000 animals. 2017, we took in over 7,000, and every year it has increased, and now we take in about 10,000 animals a year to help.
That's amazing, the number of animals like that.
And what's amazing, you guys have been there 10 years now. I knew that you guys had moved out of Scottsdale, but it seemed like it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was reaching out to Liberty. I'm like, I would like to have Liberty on the podcast. I go, they moved from Scottsdale a couple years ago. They're supposed to call them Scottsdale people.
Yeah.
But
Scottsdale roots.
10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Time has flown, as do birds.
Yeah.
Well, so actually, Phoenix is maybe a better location, centrally located in the valley, right? So is that some advantage for you?
Yeah,
there?
I think that was part of the advantage. We took a while looking to try and find the right spot, and we're right along the Rio Salado. So not only are we easily accessible by a bunch of the different highways, but we are right along the river there, which is just a perfect location just to talk about the fact that we need to protect that river. We need to protect the environment. And so we've got that in our very backyard, which is actually a really good juxtaposition because we're then on the other side of that river is the airport and the I-10. So it's really fun to talk to people about, we're in the city and we've got all of this hustling transportation around us, but we've got bobcats and coyotes and eagles that are visiting Liberty Wildlife, wild ones that come to our property. And so it's all around us.
Yeah.
No matter where you live, you've got wildlife that you need to be protecting.
Are you anywhere near the Audubon Society, which is down
We
there
are.
in Central? So
Yeah,
that's
we're
a
just a
nice
couple miles.
location,
So
yeah.
we're at 24th Street and they're at Central. So,
Okay.
and we actually have the same architects that did our building, so we look very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Gotta come down. I've not been to Liberty Wildlife. I've been to the Audubon Society building down there on Central.
It's beautiful.
But I've not. Yeah, it really is nice.
Did you guys build a brand new building?
We did, yeah. It was
Really?
brown ground when we got there, and we built a building that has we're about 6 acres of land now, and so we've got half of it is our hospital side, and then the other half is our education side. So we are the hospital. We want to send things back out into the wild, but if things can't be released to the wild after they've healed, they can get transferred to our education permit and become teachers or education ambassadors.
Okay.
And so those are the ones that we bring out to community events and programs.
Of the 10,000 animals that you take in every year, how many can you actually get back out into the wild?
It's a good question. We see that we get to about a 60% or approaching a 60% release rate, which I always joke that doesn't sound great when you're talking about a human hospital. You want a better release rate. But when you're talking about the hummingbirds hitting windows or owls and cars and things like that, they come against some really big obstacles. So approaching 60% is higher than the national average, which is the national average is about 50%. So our team does a really great job of rehabilitating these animals.
So the other 40% then stay in your facility.
They
right?
may have to get
Or they
euthanized.
get
Some of them do
euthanized?
pass
Okay.
away on their own.
Yeah.
If we don't keep them for our programming, we do work with other zoos and facilities then that we can work with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to transport them so they can be education ambassadors elsewhere or be on display in other locations.
So, you talk about wildlife as a precious natural resource. Why is that so urgent today?
I just always feel that they were here first, like this was their land first, and they've kind of tolerated us moving in, and we continue to encroach and continue to push them. But there is that delicate balance. There is the web of life, right? Like we kind of feed off of each other, and we can live together. Yes, they're coming into our yards, but they were their yards first. So if we can just figure out a way for people to learn how to respect the animals and live with them, that's just healthier all over. And if you talk to anybody that has gone outside, in the city and sees a coyote randomly or a bobcat in your backyard or an eagle flying by, the amazement that they feel is just so wonderful inside. And people don't know that until they see it, and so connecting people to nature is so important for us, so that people will learn to respect it and love it and help us keep these animals safe.
I live by a lake at McCormick Ranch, and it's very common to see eagles there.
Yeah.
And every time you see them, you just stop and you look and say, "Oh my goodness!"
Right.
And you can look around, and everybody else is stopping and doing the same thing.
Yeah, it actually builds community.
It does.
Yeah.
People talk about
So
it.
did you say earlier, did you get animals that come on your campus on their own?
We do, yeah. So
Right there in the city.
Yeah, we do have some mammals that are non-releasable. So we have new enclosures that have a bobcat, a non-releasable bobcat, a coatamundi, and a raccoon. And so we have noticed that since we brought them onto our facility, we've had resident bobcats wander through and come over and visit. And then we hear coyotes howling in the wash along that Rio Salado. And so, yeah, even though we're at 24th Street and Broadway, it's very industrial. We've got those wild animals around us.
Now, what makes an animal unreleasable?
Unreleasable. So it's something that just precludes them from having a really good success rate in the wild. So our bobcat only has one eyeball. He had an injury to his eye when he was a kitten.
So he's susceptible to predators then?
Yeah, exactly. He never really learned how to hunt before he was taken away from his mom with that injury. The raccoon is actually too habituated to humans, which some people might think is fun, but your listeners can't see my arms right now and see the scars that I actually get from working with him.
Right.
They're really not great pets. But a lot of times if there's a bird that has a broken wing, we can fix those wings, but if it's something where maybe it can't fly fast enough to get away from predators or fly fast enough to catch prey, it's not going to succeed. Yeah. And so that's when we want to keep it, and we take care of it. We take great care of it.
Keep it safe. Please tell me that bobcat's named One-Eye Jack or something like that.
Wouldn't that be cool? No, it's pretty lame. His name is Bobby. We didn't think we were going to keep him, so we didn't name him. We're like, okay, who's going to feed the Bobby today? Who's going to feed the Bobby today? And it just stuck.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
But we do have some clever names on some of the other ones.
Yeah, I'll bet. So how do you help people see wildlife? You talk about it as part of our shared community. How do you get the message out? How does that work?
I mean, part of my job as education manager is to bring field trips on site, and we really feel that hitting youth is important. And I mean, that's how I grew up loving animals. As a kid, I loved animals, and I knew I always wanted to work with them. So bringing field trips to our site is actually huge, because then I can talk to them about the fact that wildlife is all around us, and to look at our location and think to their home, whether they live in the city, if they live in downtown areas and have tall buildings like we're in right now. Peregrine falcons love tall spaces. They live in tall cliffs. If they're in the city, they will use tall buildings as their windows. So really trying to reach out to the kids to see the awe and inspiration in these animals, so that hopefully they'll grow up to be like me and all my colleagues, and then talk to their parents and teach their parents a thing or two.
Sometimes kids are the best teachers we can have for our parents, right?
Absolutely.
That's where it all comes from. What's it look like when a child encounters some of the creatures and wildlife for the first time? What does that look like when you're watching that happen?
You hear the squeals, you see the smiles. The fun part for us is we've had kids before listen to us talk. We'll be at a booth or go to a school, and then they'll come back again with a friend or a family member, or they'll circle back to the booth at the event that we're at and bring somebody, and they will teach that person they brought back what we taught them. And so they're already holding it in and becoming our little conservation messengers already.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Get more kids involved and getting that into their mainstream early on is probably the way to really build the future, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Now that you got your big building, do you do most of your outreach with your education program at the building, or do you still go out and do do you do school?
Yeah.
Go into school still?
We're really busy with programming. So we've got Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays we're open to the public.
Okay.
But then you can also book private tours. You can also have weddings and conferences and things on site. But then we still go out to school groups, community events. I think one of our Eagles will be in Parada del Sol this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So we have a very
Next
busy
weekend,
education
right.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have over 70 birds of prey that are non-releasable that we take into the field, and then we've got some reptiles that we take as well. The mammals don't go off-site. They're a little too pokey.
Yeah.
Is there a rescue or rehab story that comes to mind that really touched you or really captures the spirit of Liberty Wildlife?
The one that Dr. Orr tells about why she started education is probably the one that made me cry when I first heard it. Still very small organization. Not a lot of people had heard about it. Not a lot of people had been thinking about wildlife rehab. And a gentleman brought a great horned owl to her, and it was wrapped up in a blanket. And he put it on the table, and he opened up the blanket, and they looked at it, and they realized that it had been shot. So as he was looking at it with them, he goes, if I had known how beautiful it was, I wouldn't have shot it. I'm going to cry again right now.
Oh, my.
And so that is when Dr. Orr said, okay, we need to get these animals out in front of people so that they can see what's out there and understand the beauty, so that they learn to respect it.
I can see why you still tear up
I
when you
know,
saw
yeah,
that
it's a good one.
story, you know, when to see that happen.
So the
like,
guy who
God.
shot the owl brought the owl in for rehabilitation
Yeah.
to be saved?
And he felt horrible about it.
Because he didn't realize how beautiful the owl was until he picked it up, I guess.
Yeah.
That is a good one. That's a classic for sure, yeah. So tell us about some of the challenges that you have in terms of, and I'd like to talk a little bit about sort of what's behind the curtain at the organization. How many people are there? How you're funded? What's the business model behind your organization?
Yeah, I mean, as with any nonprofit, your big, call is we need money. We are not government funded. We don't get the tax credit. We're not in that charity pool for that. So really, we rely truly on public donors. We'll occasionally get some grants and everything, but it's the people that find an injured dove in Queen Creek that drive all the way to our facility, drop it off at our window, and still give a $5 donation, a $10 donation. We always laugh when it's somebody that's brought like a cottontail and driven that far, and you get the really random one that's like, here's $1,000. It's amazing to see what happens. All the animals get the same treatment, no matter how much money comes in with them.
Right.
But we rely on all of that, and then of course, if people book their weddings or if field trips come, that's how we give back to the animals. And we use that money directly to help pay them. We only have the equivalent of 10 full-time staff members.
Really? Okay.
So I'm one of the few people that's lucky enough to get paid to do this job. Otherwise, we have over 400 volunteers that are helping us in all aspects. And so that is always a need for us. On top of money, volunteers is something that we can use in so many aspects. Because I think most people probably think it's a very physical job, and cleaning and prepping food and feeding the animals is physical. But we have jobs such as our hotline, where you can work from home and answer our phone calls. We have people that live in Alaska that answer the phone calls for us.
Really?
Just because they loved us, they heard of us, or they moved away and they still wanted to do something.
Wow.
So we have a lot of options and always in need for volunteers.
You got a board of directors too that you work with? Yeah?
We do.
Okay.
We have a board. They're having their board meeting right now, so hopefully they're
really?
saying good
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
So they help us with fundraising aspects and keeping everything running. And then Megan Mosby is our executive director, and she's been with the organization pretty much since the beginning, which is awesome. And it's her life.
So in the beginning, it was founded in Scottsdale in 1981. Did you tell us who founded it?
Yeah, Dr. Kathy Orr.
Kathy Orr, okay.
She's a veterinarian. She was actually the head vet at the Phoenix Zoo for a little while, but she's always focused in ornithology. That was her passion. We actually had to move because she was retiring and she wanted to move to Panama, so she had to sell her house. So that really was what the final straw that kicked us out of that location in Scottsdale. She was getting rid of the house. So now she's retired in Panama. We don't actually have a staff veterinarian anymore even. So all the veterinarians that come in and help are volunteer veterinarians.
Really?
That's cool.
So they have their regular jobs and then donate their time to come and help.
So, and you've been that way for 10 years, probably.
Yeah, for over 10 years, ever since she's
Dr. Orr went to Panama.
flown to Panama. Yeah.
Does she ever come back and visit the organization? Or
She
anything?
does occasionally. Yeah, but
Yeah.
she sends us amazing pictures from Panama. She just has a little cabin there and she's just bird watching all the time.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be fabulous, wouldn't it? Yeah. So what are some things that listeners can do to help protect wildlife and help support your organization?
It's funny because it's a lot of, I talk to it when the field trippers come, like what can you do as a 7th grader?
Yeah.
What can you do? And it's some of the most simple things that you hear about when you're in school. Reusable bags, instead of plastic. Just try to reduce our footprint as much as possible. Recycle wherever you can. Find out what your city does in recycling. Don't litter. Don't throw trash out the window. The big one always that's hard to talk to kids about is don't release balloons into the air. If you talk to anybody at Liberty Wildlife, that is a pet peeve when you see balloons floating away, especially like the big releases. And it's funny because my 2 children, if they see a balloon floating away, they do their best to make me look the other way because they know that I'm just going to get so angry.
Mom, don't
but
look, Mom.
and again, I have 2 kids, so unfortunately, I know that balloons sometimes get loose. But making sure that you're not just purposefully doing a mass balloon release because what goes up must come down.
Right.
And we've had them balloons land in our water at Liberty Wildlife. We've got a little wetlands area there, and it's just flying litter at that point. So I mean, just those simple things are enough to keep your surrounding area clean. And that's what a lot of times we see our animals are getting into trouble with, they get wrapped up in plastic bags. They get wrapped up in these 6-pack holders. Glue traps, they're bad. I know that, some people don't like all the desirable little things that are undesirable, I guess, little things that they catch. But they are just a way to catch those little bugs that then a lizard comes up and wants to eat those bugs and he gets caught. And then a bird comes up that wants to eat the lizard and it gets caught. And then a snake comes along and says, I've got a whole lunchbox right here. And the whole thing, is just, we've got the entire food web on one glue trap, and it's a horrible way for them to die. So that's something that we preach against. And rodenticide. No matter what they tell you, rodenticide, all the companies will say it does not travel up the chain. It only kills that one animal that's eating it. But the owls and the coyotes and everything that eat that rat, we've seen them succumm to the poison from it.
I've seen owls drop out of palm trees in our neighborhood because they ate something that was poison.
Right.
Yeah, I've had a couple. We had, I think, twice in my neighborhood. For some reason, we got owls around, probably because we have a lake nearby. But I can hear owls almost every night.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But once in a while, and this has happened twice, I think, where one of the neighbors has seen an owl drop down into his or her yard, and basically was poisoned by eating the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's terrible. And all the products they have in all these years come up with something that doesn't travel up the chain. They all claim that it doesn't do it, but we actually use rodent birth control at Liberty Wildlife. So we still have bait boxes out because we have rodents too. But it's birth control so that the females don't reproduce.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a more humane way of dealing with that. So are there other organizations that are sort of doing the same kind of work you're doing here in the Valley or anywhere else in the Southwest?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you look up, if you find an injured animal on the ground and you quickly Google, you're going to come up with Fallen Feathers, Wild at Heart, East Valley Wildlife, Liberty Wildlife, and then if it's a mammal, Southwest Wildlife, and Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary. And so they're all like-minded folks. Cool. Yeah. And if you go to any conservation expo or anything like that, we're all the ones that are tabling right there.
Oh, that's good.
And we're all trying to send that same message out of, protecting the wildlife.
We need more people saying that message, Kevin. Absolutely. It's all about conservation. It's all about just being good stewards of our land, whether it's wildlife or just, taking care of our surroundings and be respectful to the land we're on, right?
For sure.
It all adds up at the end.
Talk to me about the big releases you guys do. I'm sure that you guys have a lot of, big wins in your organization and introducing wildlife back to the environment. But it seems like when you guys release a big bird, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And that's the fun of volunteering at Liberty Wildlife is we usually are letting the volunteers do the releases.
Yeah.
So, our busy season's starting soon because come March, it's breeding season. The babies are going to start popping out. And so from March through all of summer, that's when we're raising orphaned babies. And so at the end of summer, we have a lot of releases and our volunteers get to do it. The really special ones are, the California condor ones. When we get the California condor downs, we work with the Peregrine Fund, and every September they do the big release. So we've had some of our birds get released at those releases at the Vermilion Cliffs. Eagles.
Where's that at?
It's up by the Navajo Bridge on the north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I've heard of it. I just didn't know exactly where it was. Okay.
Right, and those birds have 9-foot wingspans.
Really?
So when you watch them soar up above, it's just beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
9-foot wingspans. Wow.
Yeah.
So when you look ahead, what do you hope Liberty Wildlife helps the community become, or what do you see in terms of the growth of the organization over the next few years?
Well, if you talk to my boss, she wants the land next door. So if anybody wants to, donate to buy some land next door, it's not for sale yet. But
is it available? I mean,
no. But
she'd still like to get it,
she'll
right?
keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for her.
So she always wants to expand. But we just hope people tell us that we're a hidden gem, which is a fun thing to hear about yourself. But we would like to maybe not be so hidden anymore. We want more people to know about us, more people to come visit us. And we're seeing throughout the years an increase in people visiting us because we do work with like Desert Botanical Gardens. We'll go to their luminarias at Christmas time.
That was my next question.
And,
okay.
Yeah. And so people see us there and then they come and visit us. So we're seeing more and more people coming to visit us.
Is that one of your major, a big event where you get most exposure? Is it the Botanical Gardens of the Luminarias?
Yeah, that's a huge one. And then Verde Canyon Railroad, we've had a really long partnership with them. In fact, our bald eagle used to ride on the train.
Really?
Before 2020. She would go through each cabin, and they had open air cabins. So we do an educational presentation, and the people would take pictures. ride the train. 2020 hit and we kind of kiboshed that. And now, but we do still meet at the depot and bring animals up there. And so at Christmas time, they also have a Christmas train. So we bring our eagle up there, and it's Flurry the Christmas Eagle, and it's got a whole story that goes behind it.
I've taken the Verde Valley train ride.
It's beautiful.
I don't remember the eagle, but it probably happened when probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. And right now, with that train ride, they're actually starting to see some of the wild eagles nesting because it is nesting season. They're all starting to bed down right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's for sure. Yeah.
I was so impressed with the volunteers at the Botanical Garden.
Oh, good.
They were really knowledgeable, and I'm like, these guys are volunteers. They seem like they're like active. Veterinarians.
They're so
stuff,
passionate. And what's cool about volunteering is that you don't have to have a background in wildlife, in birds, in medicine, in any of that. You can start with just the passion, just the wanting to do it. Just have many of them say, I saw you at this event and I knew I needed to come volunteer. And we do all the training on site, and let you kind of fit into whatever volunteer position you feel comfortable in. And we have people who've been volunteering for over 30 years.
Wow.
That's great. So you're always looking for more volunteers,
Always
right?
looking for more volunteers,
So
yes.
we want money and we want volunteers.
Yes, and visitors.
And then we want some land and we want some visitors. And then we want some more critters because we got to take care of critters too.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's true.
Critters.
That's true.
Exactly. What a great conversation this was today, Kevin. I'm glad we finally got her on. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It took a little bit of doing because they were, moved out of Scottsdale, but
busy.
we eventually kept persisting, and Laura was able to respond.
Good things come to those who wait. So just a thrill to have you on here. And in fact, on behalf of all the critters that sure appreciate that you give them a helping hand whenever they need a little bit of a helping hand, just thank you. And thank you for all the work you're doing for our community and for all those little critters that just need a little helping hand once in a while. But great conversation. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you again for inviting me and being a part of this.
And thank you all for listening. We'll be back again, of course, next week with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.